The Indianapolis Colts are bringing Shane Steichen's backup quarterback to town. And Gardner Minshew may have an opportunity to become a starter with the Indianapolis Colts in the same division that he was drafted to. Gardner Minshew was drafted to Jacksonville as a late round pick. Jacksonville never really gave him the opportunity to shine. He left, he went to Philadelphia, and he's been a great backup for the Eagles the last couple of years behind Jalen Hurts. Now he's going to shift into more of an offense that's going to be built for him, right? Since Jalen Hurts has become the starter of the Eagles, it's been really difficult for Gardner Minshew to step in there and provide the same quality because they're such different players. Gardner Minshew is mostly a backup pocket passer. He's not a runner. He's not a mobile quarterback. He can scramble. He's a very savvy scrambler. He can make some plays on the move, but he's not a designed runner. He's not an extra six-back offense type of guy. He's a pocket guy. He's a little bit smaller in stature at 6'1", 225. That's one of the knocks on him. But we've seen shorter guys get opportunities, and we've seen smaller guys have success. Kyler Murray's smaller. Bryce Young is going to be smaller. Russell Wilson is certainly smaller. But Gardner Minshew is definitely smaller. Now, Gardner Minshew, in terms of negatives, if I was going to look at it, because I'm biased, I like Gardner Minshew. I've always liked Gardner Minshew. I thought he was the best backup in the NFL entering 2022. Now, I don't think he performed that way this year. I think you would say Jacoby Brissett performed that way. I think he outperformed Gardner Minshew. But we've seen him have a lot of success in the NFL. In terms of negatives, Minshew doesn't have the strongest arm. He's not going to be able to rip the ball into tight windows like elite quarterbacks in this league. And I wouldn't say his deep ball is bad, but it's not his strongest asset. On top of that, he's just not the greatest athlete, right? He's not super fast. He doesn't have that super strong arm. He's not big, right? So he's a less than athlete. But outside of that, Gardner Minshew, I love his style of play. When you look at his career, he protects the football with only 15 interceptions in 32 games. And his touchdown interception ratio is extremely impressive for a guy that's never really been a starter. He's only had the opportunity to start 24 games. He's played in 32 games. He's only had the opportunity to really start for 2 years. And that was in Jacksonville 2019-2020 with the worst rosters in the NFL. Minshew went 6-6 in 2019. And then he went 1-7 with the worst team in the NFL. And once he left, the reason they actually benched Minshew, believe it or not, in 2020 is because he was too good and they wanted to get the first pick. That's really what happened. I don't know if people remember that. But they said, Minshew, you're not doing us any favors. We're going to put this other bum in there. He was too good, so they sat him. So in those years, he had 21 touchdowns to 6 picks with 3,271 yards and a 60% completion percentage with a 91 passer rating as a rookie. As a rookie in 2019, he went 6-6. Then in year 2, he was 1-7, but he had 16 touchdowns to 5 picks. So how much of it was his fault? He also had 2,259 yards, 95.9 passer rating. So numbers-wise, he was good and efficient on a very terrible team. In Philadelphia, on a much better team. He's shown promise, but he last year had some down moments. So in 2021, he was 1-1 as a starter, a team that was a fringe playoff team. He won one of the games. He was very impressive in, I think, the game against the Jets. Had a 68% completion percentage, 4 touchdowns, only 1 pick, 439 yards, and a 104.8 passer rating. Then last year, he was 0 for 2, but he did play the Dallas Cowboys, and he played really well against Dallas. And then he had a bad game against the Saints, one of the best defenses in football, and they lost that game. And the Saints, for whatever reason, shut down pocket passers, but they're not good against mobile quarterbacks. We've seen that over the last couple of years, but he was 0 for 2, only a 58% completion percentage, 663 yards, but 3-3 touchdown interception. And he played two of the best defenses in football, had an 83.4 passer rating. So taking over for Jalen Hurts, last year was perhaps his worst showing, but it was against two of the best defenses in the NFL, two of the best pass rushes in the NFL. And like I said, the offense didn't really fit him because the Eagles have shifted so far into being a run-heavy team that their passing game is very kind of simplistic due to how much their running game sets up their passing game. So it's not doing any favors to a pocket passer like Gardner Minshew. So they had to shift their entire offense, really. But he was really good in the Dallas Cowboys game. If you look back to that game, and I'll go through the statistics right here in terms of the game log. In the Cowboys game, he had 355 yards, 2 touchdowns, 2 picks. And he also had a rushing touchdown. So he had 3 total touchdowns to 2 picks. So Minshew's a high-end backup and a guy that's never really gotten a lot of opportunities to be a starter. I think he's never really gotten a true chance on a decent team to be a starter. So he might get that for the Colts to begin this season. And I'd be happy for him because why? Not only has he been an undervalued football player, if you compare Gardner Minshew's, they were drafted, I believe, in the same year. Or maybe Minshew was drafted a year after. But a lot of people, because of how they look, Baker Mayfield and Gardner Minshew, compare the two. Yes, Mayfield was drafted the year before. If you compare their career numbers, Minshew has a better passer rating. Minshew has a better touchdown to interception ratio. So which one is the better player? Gardner Minshew is also a great personality. Players love this guy. If you ever watched him play, him and his dad have this great connection. And he's you know, the guy rocks the mustache and the jorts. I mean, how can you get better than that? How can you have more swag than that? So I think you gotta love Gardner Minshew. He's an easy guy to cheer for. He's an underdog story. And at the very least, he keeps the Colts competitive in the AFC South. And at the max, he could prove a lot of people wrong that, hey, maybe they should have taken a chance on him sooner. And he's also extremely cheap. $3.5 million. That is a great deal for the Colts. A guy that knows the offense already, has proven he can play a bit, and he's a great fit in the locker room. So Gardner Minshew to the Colts.